Hey guys, so this is what if Kazuma, what if Kazuma found the omnitrix? Now basically guys, this is a what if idea I did a couple months ago, I guess. I think a week ago. No, a couple months ago, definitely a couple months ago. Or a month, a couple weeks, maybe. Basically, on that video, got a comment saying, please continue with part 2 now, please. And I listened to you, dude, or woman, I don't really know. Basically, let's just dive right into it. I last left off in episode 2, and we'll continue with episode 3 and 4. Let's get into it. We see basically last time we left off, we saw World Darkness, or a Crusader, basically asking if she could be in their party. Basically, Kazuma is kind of incredibly, blushing because, Darkness is freaking hot, bro. And basically, he immediately, lets her on their party. And basically, Darkness, she's a Crusader, and basically, her class is Crusader. Her name is Darkness, and she wants to be a part of their party, or part of Kazuma's party. Kazuma kind of gets flirted on a little bit. Basically, Darkness talking about, tell me about the women in your party, what type of horrible tragedy happened to them to be all slimy and stuff. Basically, Kazuma been kind of, not really going on first because he doesn't know if he could let her on their guild, but Kazuma is kind of confused. He's like, this girl, what's up with her, bro? She's talking real weird, like a masochist or something. He realizes that she's giving him the crazy eye. Like, she's breathing heavily just talking about the woman on Kazuma's pretty much, the woman on Kazuma's pretty much, thing, just, just going weird, but, he just straight up doesn't even care, bro, because, she's breathing hard, bro. It's kind of weird, no cap. Kazuma is kind of getting that vibe that she's, pathetic, hopeless, and doesn't really, contribute anything to the guild, because that's the vibe he's getting off from her. And basically, we see that Kazuma tries to tell her, they try to push her down gently, but he says that basically we don't really need you on their guild. I'm pretty sure you don't want to be on our guild. Saying that, one of us have one weak magic and can barely do any damage. Another one of us can only use their magic once a day. And me? Well, pretty much Subaru just skips him and says, so, what about you? And basically, so Kaori comes to the conclusion that, our party's trashy. Basically, him not putting him in that category because Kubaru. Kazuma, Kazuma, he knows, he's pretty strong, and he could probably carry the whole team, and as long as he, gets his hand on master control. But basically, we see that, Darkness does grab or squeeze Kazuma's hand, pretty much begging to be on his team, and tells him that, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a weak team for me to carry, or something like that. Basically, Kazuma is kind of confused, but doesn't really know why she wants to be in a sucky team. She makes a confession that she's quite clumsy, and she doesn't have doubt in her combat skills, but she's quite clumsy, and she barely, none of her attacks hit or line up to the, thing she's attacking. And Kazuma, thinks it's in the head, saying, I'm right, she's useless. And basically, as she gets all up in Kazuma's grill, I'm all up in his grill, and they're both blushing their faces off. And basically, she says, you can use me as a shield. Yes, a shield, whatever you want to do with me. Basically, Kazuma, getting some straight up masochist vibes from her. Just saying, just him thinking that, she's getting way too close, and his heart is pumping fast. Kazuma stays calm and doesn't let his, hormones take control and let her, seduce him. Basically, he's just saying, sorry, but you don't want to be on our guild. And I can't use a woman as a shield, so yeah. As she says, I wouldn't mind being used as a shield. And Kazuma says, well, we get eaten from monsters literally every day. And basically she says, I wouldn't mind that either. Basically Kazuma's saying, what the heck, bro? What is wrong with you? As Kazuma straight up gets that masochist vibes, or that vibes that she likes pain, he immediately just confused, thrown off guard, and just doesn't really know what to do. But after that, we get hit with the intro of the episode 3. Pretty much the same intro as season 1. Basically, we gave it that intro, and the intro is kind of different. It's just when Kazuma does the magic thing in his hand, is when just the omnitrix turning on, and green energy coming out of his hands. But after that, we basically get as my feed cut out. After the intro, we get hit with basically pretty much what was it after the intro, everything that's going on. Cause I feel like intro way too freaking long. Basically, we get switched to Aqua doing some parlor tricks with her magic to get some validation or whatever and whatnot. Basically, Kazuma not really caring what she's doing because he's just trying to think what's going on. Basically, he just walks off from Aqua, because he doesn't really care. And pretty much we get hit with a break. Kazuma talking to pretty much magic. Talking to what was it I don't remember her name, bro. I really don't remember her name. I think the sorcerer girl. Basically, pretty much he's just confused and looks at the omnitrix. Basically looking at his level and saying that it is good. His luck is way more powerful than it was in canon. Because, with the omnitrix, you gotta be lucky sometimes. Because Ben was lucky the whole series. Because, if he didn't have luck, Ben would die in the first season. I guarantee you he would die in the first season. Basically, we pretty much see that, pretty much the explosion girl basically asked Deku, Kazuma, basically saying, she talks to Kazuma about his skills, and Kazuma does still want to gain up skills because eventually he does know he might never get master control, but at the same time, Kazuma does know that, he will have to build up his physical or his human body or his magic, so if he ever timed out, he could still defend himself. So basically, what pretty much the explosion girl suggests, she suggests explosion magic. Basically, her being super excited about this and saying, I'll teach you it right away, blah, blah, blah. Basically, Kazuma doesn't really want to learn it because he knows how, it puts a toll on her body and he doesn't really want to be useless. So basically, and also Kazuma wants to learn a different spell and not be a copycat and not have the same skill as his teammate. Basically, he pretty much just, tells her, just chill out. And basically, he, thinks about who should he, ask to teach him a skill so he can get it. And basically, he tries to think about a skill that he would, it would make him more, better opponent, or pretty much give him the advantage of defending himself without the omnitrix. As Kazuma pushes her, just gently puts her back down in her chair and tells her, to back off, kiddo, too close for comfort. She says, "You called me kiddo," basically pretty much us hearing, dramatic music in the background, Kazuma being confused. I'm like, why did her emotion just go down tenfold? And basically, she pretty much is just sad because, Kazuma called her kiddo. Basically, Kazuma just shrugging this off. Now, Kazuma thinks about how, he has to find a quick and easy spell that he can get pretty quickly that doesn't cost as much points as an explosion or anything like that. Kazuma is sitting down when he's approached by the girl from last night, Darkness. And pretty much Kazuma saying, holy moly, basically him being confused. I'm like, why is she here, bro? He already told her that he's not letting her on their guild. Pretty much Kazuma is told by Darkness, last night we couldn't finish our talk because you said you were drunk and you weren't feeling well. Basically Kazuma thinking in his head saying that, I was trying to let her down easy, I wasn't even really drunk. Basically she says, I'd like to join your party, but basically Kazuma says, you can't, that's final. Basically, she goes all around saying, oh no, basically her having that kind of just weird type of touch. Basically Kazuma lets her down quickly, and she says so fast, basically Kazuma being like, what? Pretty much she says, is she enjoying this? What a weirdo, bro. Him just thinking about this saying, like, what is wrong with her, bro? She got something mental going on or something? And basically, Kazuma is disgusted, confused, and just straight up just, caught off guard by this. And as Darkness is told that's not how you do it, we see another girl that's, showing way too much stuff. Not really too much stuff, but basically, we see a white-haired girl, kind of a thief type of adventure type of person. Basically, she says that's not how you do it, and basically tells Darkness, not to be so pushy. Kazuma asks who is she, and she introduces herself as Chris. And basically, she introduces herself as a thief and basically a friend of Darkness. Now, basically, Kazuma finally, says finally a girl that actually is, well, straight-minded and isn't crazy. And she talks about how, Kazuma, she overheard Kazuma talking about how to learn a new spell, and she offered teaching him thieving. Basically, Kazuma was confused, but also kind of intrigued by this. She says, pretty much, these skills are pretty handy, and it doesn't really take that much points to learn thieving. Basically, Kazuma says, oh, really? Basically, being even more intrigued than the original. Kazuma is told by her, just, give me a drink or buy me a drink, and I'll be happy to teach you. Kazuma's, abide by this, and we get switched, pretty much Kazuma getting ready, and pretty much her starting to teach Kazuma, the skills. Basically, as this is happening, she talks about other, thief skills, but basically she says, let me teach you my favorite. Basically, him being, pretty much, was it? Him being taught another skill of sorts. And pretty much shows Kazuma, or uses her favorite skill on Kazuma, still. Her putting her hand out and a white light coming out of her hand, and pretty much her stealing something from Kazuma. It being some money. Basically, Kazuma say, hey, what the heck? Basically, pretty much she says that, pretty much, straight up, basically, it's called steal. It grabs any random item from, basically, a person, but basically, the higher your luck, the more, the more higher up or the better your, the thing you snatch is. So basically, Kazuma, thinks about this and pretty much says, this is awesome. Basically, he knows that his luck is way overpowered and it's way more luck than anybody should have. Basically, Kazuma, chuckling, saying this is awesome. Basically, she makes a little bit of a deal before giving Kazuma's money back. Says, let's do a little contest. You steal from me, I steal from you. I stole from you, you stole from me. The higher the point is, you can keep it. Whatever you steal, you can keep it. Basically, Kazuma, smirks a little bit and says, okay. Basically, Kazuma thinks about it and basically knows that he could lose all the cash he has or get something more in return because he knows his luck is OP. So, she tells Kazuma to look into his cards and says you see a skill there called Steal. Pretty much Kazuma uses it and pretty much Kazuma activates its skills and basically, Kazuma is told by can't remember her name. Pretty much told by Flint. I don't remember her name. Basically, she says, to try your best. Basically, that pretty much Kazuma puts his hand on and says, okay. And basically, Kazuma is told by the thief that, if you're lucky, you might still match the dagger. But basically, Kazuma chuckles, and Kazuma's still a pervert-ish in this what if. So Kazuma chuckles and smirks, saying, I'm trying to get something better. Basically, Kazuma's told if he's unlucky, he might get his old rocks, but Kazuma isn't worried because he knows his luck is OP or overpowered. Kazuma recognizes that she taught him another skill, or she taught him something else, like, this isn't Japan, it's for survival for the fittest. Kazuma says, here I go, and uses his magic and puts his hand out. Basically, him using still, and what he gets is way better than what he originally got. My boy Kazuma! I mean, in my opinion, this is the best anime scene ever, guys. Basically, Kazuma steals her freaking panties, bro. I mean, like, how, dude? Like, who gave the thumbs up to do this? But whatever. Kazuma, steals her panties. Plus her bra. Meaning that, because she was only wearing one layer of clothing on top of her chest. So, she straight up is bare-chested with no undergarments. Basically, Kazuma having both her bra and her, undergarments. basically having both of them. Pretty much Kazuma chuckles and says, I got you good, didn't I? She starts to freak out, basically saying to give me back my stuff. Basically, him saying, okay, and he throws back her chest, or not her chest, her bra. She puts it on quickly as possible, and he says, give me back my, undergarments, or give me back my underwear. Basically, Kazuma looks at her, and pretty much but Kazuma, when he's told to give it back, he starts to flaunt it around, basically laughing at the top of his lungs. And she's saying, it's not funny, Kazuma, give it back. Basically, seeing that Darkness would be seeing this. Basically, Kazuma, Darkness sees this and says, what a reviled act, I must join his party as soon as possible. Basically, her giving off that masochist vibes. Basically, what we see pretty much Kazuma arrives back to pretty much the Adventurers Guild with Thief, Darkness, and basically Aqua and with the Explosion Girl asks, Kazuma, what happened? You missed all my pyro tricks. Where were you? And basically, he looks at the two girls behind him and says, nowhere. Pretty much, Kazuma's interrupted afterwards because pretty much Darkness was said, well, he pretty much, the thief taught him a new skill, thief, or steal, and he stole her panties and her bra, and pretty much threw her bra back, but used her panties as a ransom to get all the money she had, and blah blah blah. Basically Kazuma pretty much, oh my gosh, bro. Basically she says, I gave him back his coin pouch, but he said I had to pay, and it wasn't enough. Basically, I'm saying she had to pay to get her panties back. And Aqua and the Explosion Girl are just shocked, speechless of what Kazuma has done, bro. Kazuma tells her to stop talking, but pretty much she said, yeah, is exactly what happened. But still, just shut up. Basically, you would see, pretty much Kazuma gets, pretty much the girl, the thief says, he said if I didn't like the amount I've had my... I'll have my panties. Basically, it was her saying that he said he would frame them on his wall and just keep them, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the rest of the Adventurers Guild would be hearing this, and they would all be shocked, especially the waitresses. Everybody thinking that he's just a pervert now, because, bro, she was confessing everything, saying that, and she was crying as well. And pretty much he said, bro, would you shut up already? We're gonna get killed. Basically, Kazuma yelling that out on her, saying, to just shut up. Basically, she said every woman in the bar is looking at us. Basically, she said, pretty much, she just, some chuckles and smiles. Basically, just saying all that to make Kazuma look like a bad guy. Basically, Kazuma, we use still on pretty much Aqua or Explosion Girl. And basically, what he would have is something... Well, they would both notice, or Explosion Girl would notice, that her panties were gone as well. Bro, this was hilarious, dude. I feel like it's the most hilarious anime scene ever, guys. If you have another funny anime scene, bro, if you guys know, bro, this was hilarious. He stole, and with his luck, he actually was able to use it on two people, so he stole Aqua's stuff. And Explosion Girl stuff as well. And he started to laugh at the top of his lungs. And pretty much she would ask for it back, to give it back now. Basically, Kazuma would have, been stretching them, saying, well. I don't feel like I'm going to give that back. Basically, Kazuma's told to, give it back, please. And pretty much Kazuma, he doesn't want to look like a jerk, so he actually gives it back this time. Bit in this canon. Basically, Darkness does interrupt, talking the same thing, saying, blah blah blah. Basically, he she starts to act all freaky in front of Kazuma, and Kazuma says she's a freaky one. She's weird, bro. Him saying the last thing we need at our party is another weirdo. Basically, we see pretty much Darkness straight up. Aqua says, is this the woman you were talking about yesterday? That was when we were in the restroom? Basically, pretty much Kazuma said, scoffs or sighs, saying, yeah, that's her. As you see, pretty much Explosion Girl looks at the, pretty much her stats and says that she's a crusader. It would be crazy to turn her down. Basically, Kazuma's told, by Aqua and everybody, to just let her on the team. And pretty much Kazuma tells Darkness, I have a confession. Darkness, me and Aqua don't look dangerous, but we're on a mission to take down the Demon King. Basically, they would have all been looking at them saying, okay, huh? And basically, Darkness would have still wanted to be on their guild either way. And basically, Kazuma being confused on why she still wants to be on their guild. Basically, he says that what a Demon King would do if he got his hands on a young man like you. He'll tie you up, he'll chain you up and torture the hell out of you. And basically, she says, yes, I know. Her smirking at this, her wanting to be tortured. Kazuma's just straight up just shocked, saying, what the heck is wrong with this girl? Bro, what is up with her, bro? She just weird, bro. She on something else. She on something else, bro. She on S game mode or something. And basically, she says, I accept this. And pretty much we skip the rest of the episode, because the rest of the episode does go nearly exactly the same, because Kazuma and everybody doesn't really change. But when it comes down to it, when it's pretty much a alert going on in the city, where you see the bells being rang and all sorts of other stuff, and demons are coming in, blah blah blah, and pretty much Havoc started to roam around. We see that Havoc starts to run around. People start to adventurers start to show up to try to fight back, and Kazuma goes there as well alongside them. Him being a lot more up to the task, and him running up there and being on the top lines. As we see pretty much a crowd of monsters start to arrive, you see that Kazuma looks at the omnitrix and says, It's time for you to shine, baby." Basically, he looking at the omnitrix, and he would unlock the omnitrix and go through the dial. Him looking at the omnitrix dial and pretty much picking down the alien, pretty much something he can use. As it happens, we see that Explosion Girl starts to use her explosion skill, and Cosmo's looking at it, just letting her do her thing. But when it comes down to it, he's gonna totally transform. But as we see a swarm of green type of cabbage, you see that it comes towards them. Pretty much Kazuma says, "Forget it," and basically just transforms into. Cosmo would transform into Heat Blast and started to burn all the cabbages down to the ground, hitting fireballs against them, him shooting huge waves of fire. Basically, actually letting the cabbage not be able to get past or get into the pretty much city or the town. Basically, him using all of his fire magic to burn all of them and push them back, disintegrating most of them. Him basically saving the town, actually. As he was doing this, he would shoot all the fire, and pretty much they would have all noticed this. Darkness would have tried to fight back. Basically, her missing every swing she did. Her missing everything. She's not hitting a single thing. Kazuma witnesses saying that she's useless too, but he would just go on powering up his fire blast, taking more of the cabbages down. As the adventurers would start to get folded, or wouldn't get folded as badly, because Deku would Kazuma would basically be carrying the whole team. Just carrying the whole team, or the whole adventurers. All the adventurers, especially Darkness. Basically, it would shoot fireballs on top of fireballs, shooting huge waves of fire, and eventually the whole fight would have been over and pretty quickly. But right when it was over, another swarm of them showed up, basically Kazuma's Omnitrix timing out, and he would have to, go back. When we see Darkness would have been using her body as a shield, and the cabbages would have been hitting her over and over, and pretty much her armor would fall off, and her chest would be exposed. Basically, it wouldn't be exposed, but they would be able to see it through her shirt. And basically, her just letting herself get hit with the cabbages, her giving off that masochist vibes. Pretty much Kazuma overhearing other adventurers saying that she's a hero. Basically, Kazuma saying, "A hero, bro? She's a freaking masochist." Now, basically, we just switched to Explosion Girl actually starting to activate her explosion magic, and she's doing this. She uses it and basically, activates her explosion, taking down most of the rest of the cabbages. But pretty much, Kazuma did take out pretty much a good chunk of pretty much the cabbages. As that's happening, we pretty much see that Kazuma would have been actually a hero alongside pretty much Darkness and the Explosion Girl. Basically, him being categorized as a hero as well because he would use a lot of magic. People assuming that he had some sort of transformation magic or something, some sort of transformation skill. And basically, you see that Kazuma would have told them, nothing. Just another day as a hero. And basically, most of the adventurers would have been, we see that Kazuma would have, just said, another day as a hero, and basically we see that Darkness would, eventually be let on the party or on the team. As this happening, we will see that, Aqua would have been attending to most of the adventurers that were, out or still out, or were taken down by the cabbage or whatever. And basically, we see that Kazuma mainly did most of the work. Just near the end, Darkness and Explosion Girl did most of the work. Near the end, like where it was when it was barely like 100 or 500 left. And basically, we see that Kazuma would have just been just tired, just saying you guys barely did anything. Aqua would have said you're okay. Basically, her actually started to straight up flirt with Kazuma because Kazuma would have shown some type of power or magic. As Kazuma used his skill, he would take most of the cabbages because he would do, a little bit of a flashback then and there. And pretty much Aqua would start to flirt with him actually because he would think that, he's pretty powerful. He's pretty much on her level in this world. Basically, we see that pretty much the episode will be ended off at a conclusion. And pretty much, Darkness would have tried to flirt or pretty much would have gave off that masochist type of vibes in front of Kazuma. Kazuma just being shocked, and Kazuma would have a little bit more self-confidence, so he would just tell her to back off, and basically, he would have winked at her, him just walking off and going to the restroom so he could just clean himself up. After that, we would get switched to the end of the episode where we get switched to episode 14, and that's, I'm not going to leave it off here yet, because I'm going to do 2 episodes. And continue our story off, and pretty much Kazuma is building up his skills at the Adventurers Guild, basically building up most of his skills, but him mainly tinkering with the omnitrix. As he was tinkering the omnitrix, he goes back to pretty much mastering his skills and him learning a water move, the type of water move Aqua made. Basically, him making a glass of water for himself and him being kind of straight up, succeed at this type of skill, but him mainly just more about the omnitrix. Now, basically, Darkness would have came up to him and started to talk to him, and that's where I'm going to skip off for most of the episode. Now, pretty much most of the adventurers give Kazuma a little bit more respect because he did, literally, straight up carry the whole Adventurers Guild. But basically, we see that Aqua would have came to Kazuma saying that, they're trying to, or was it, touch me or whatever, because she was talking to other adventurers that are in the building that, kind of look like thugs. She would have begged Kazuma, and Kazuma would have said, fine. Basically, him transforming into a new alien swamp fire, and would have been kind of, excited a little bit. Basically, him saying this is awesome. He would kind of walk towards the guys, but she would beg Kazuma and just give him money so he doesn't have to beat him up. Kazuma would have said, fine. Basically, him de-transforming and giving her the money to get the guys off her back. Kazuma would have told her to not do this again and, to just stay out of trouble. As she would get the money to the guys, basically we get switched to the next day, where we see Kazuma would have got into not his adventure skill, but would have still been in his jumpsuit, or his green and black jumpsuit, him not having the cape type of thing. He would get the cape and the sword, but he wouldn't be in his adventurer's outfit. He would just be in his normal pretty much jogging clothes, because he wouldn't change that, because he doesn't really see the point in changing his outfit, because he knows that doesn't really need to change his outfit, because he straight up has the omnitrix, one of the powerful things ever. As we see, pretty much the rest of the episode goes similar the same. We see that Kazuma and the rest of them get a little bit of a mission to go, or pretty much Kazuma takes Explosion Girl to a castle to pretty much test out her magic. She tests out her magic to build up her intolerance with the explosion magic and uses it to pretty much blow up the abandoned type of, well, building or castle, and basically using it every single day for the past couple days. Basically, we would skip a couple days later. Every day they would go there, shoot explosions left and right. One day, basically, Kazuma was sleeping. He was woken up by Aqua, and Aqua pretty much talks to Kazuma about, the same thing. And basically, we get switched back to pretty much, well, the city being attacked by something dark, something from the Demon King, the Headless Horseman. And basically, Kazuma would see this and he was about to transform, or, activate his omnitrix, where we would see pretty much Kazuma, and pretty much Kazuma would have seen the Headless Horseman, and he would say, "Who was blowing up my house for the past couple weeks, bro?" Basically, you're just being peed off by this. He'll say, "Who was blowing up my house for the past couple days, bro? Like, who was doing that?" Basically, he would know that, well, Explosion Girl was doing that because he, took her there every day. And pretty much what would happen is pretty much, well, Kazuma would have told her that it was her, but you can't really hurt her, okay, dude? And basically, he told her, just told the Headless Horseman to just leave now. And he said no. Basically, Kazuma would have said, "Fine, your choice," and would have transformed into pretty much, well, Accelerate, and would have started to speed blitz the Headless Horseman, punching him left and right, kicking his horse's legs in, and basically started to jump him, running around in circles around him, running and running and running. As he was punching him and taking him down for a couple of 10 minutes, the Headless Horseman would take his sword out and would have hit or took his fence out, or his fencing thing out, and basically hit Kazuma in the shins of Accelerate and would have pushed him back, him falling down to the ground and being knocked out for a couple minutes. As we see, the rest of his guild would take down or try to fight back against the Headless Horseman. The Headless Horseman would have fought back, but we would see that Kazuma would have ran up there and just would have, well, stabbed the Headless Horseman right towards his chest with the claws of Accelerate, taking him down and making him retreat. As he does this, we said he would walk off, and the episode would end off there, because the episode would kind of go pretty quickly. And basically, after that, we get switched to pretty much, well, the guild being incredibly, honored of, well, Kazuma's sacrifice. Well, not Kazuma's sacrifice, but Kazuma's heroism. Basically, Kazuma would de-transform, and basically, I'm going to leave it off here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. Before I go, after this video, I will be uploading what if Irma had the Omnitrix Part 3. And after this, I will be uploading, I don't remember, I will be uploading on December 25th, because I already recorded it. I will be uploading on December 25th by Christmas special, What If Deku was, Santa's Son, the movie. And I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys later. Have a Merry Christmas.